Hello folks, welcome to the topics. Welcome to another video. Today, as you can see, new setup. It's going to be a temporary one before I move to my new house. This is back. I used to record in this specific room right here. So a couple of years ago, I used to record right here. But as I said, for maybe 4 or 5 videos going to be here. And then I'm going to move and the next studio will be even better, even prettier for us to create content crypto related. So it was a little bit of a hard week. We had great starts, not only for crypto, but specifically for precious metals, for everything else. Everything was booming before the Fed meeting. Not that the Fed meeting was that bad. Fed watch tool, we were 95, 98, 99% sure that there were not going to be any rate cuts. So we just had to wait to what Powell was going to say. And it wasn't bad what he said or the way that he said, which is usually what matters most. It was an okay thing. But today, for example, we had PPI data and it was hotter than expected. And that reflects bad in riskier assets like crypto, like stocks, like Forex. And the US dollar has been losing its value a lot day by day since the beginning of week. So the US dollar as a currency, it lost value if you compare to other currencies. So the value of the dollar, which it hasn't been backed by gold since the 70s, now it started to fall. And that's a little scary for a couple of reasons. But before that, let's actually start the video and jump right into it with today's video. So we can talk about crypto and everything related to the market. Let's jump right into it. So we're actually going to start off by looking at CoinMarketCap. And right now we can see that Bitcoin is at $82,000, 844. Ethereum is at 2728. We have BNB at 847. So BNB has been holding steadily in the past few days. So it didn't fall as much as the others. We have XRP at 175, Solana at 116. And then we have Hyperliquid at $29. So Hyperliquid is actually positive in the last week. It has been gaining up some speed. And Monero is not as good. Monero now 453. It is up 7% today, but overall 11.5%. Considering that it was $800 just a couple of days ago, it means that it's not as good as we would like to right now in the current price. So if we look at our current market conditions, if we switch here to the crypto fear and greed index, we are today at 16. So 16 is very low considering that yesterday we were at 26. So we had a 10-point drop. Right now we were at 26 and we dropped 10 points all the way to the 16 in the crypto fear and greed index. Again, 10 is the lowest I've seen in the past year. Are we going to see lower than 10? Well, I think if we go back to the 70s, 79, 78, 77, and even lower 70s, then yes, for the first time, I think I personally will see numbers below the 8. I think I've seen 9, but 8, I don't remember seeing 8 on the fear and greed index ever in my whole crypto days. So who knows? Let's keep an eye right here for the fear that the retailers are feeling regarding crypto. And as always, whenever we have huge fear moments here in crypto, it means that retailers are scared, but usually whales and institutions, they are buying everything that the retailers are selling. I believe that we're going to have a shift in perspective, that retailers are going to be giving up all the Bitcoin that they have, and that institutions are going to be the ones in control because we were not strong enough to diamond hand our Bitcoin positions. So this is already happening. And the whole decentralization that everyone talks about, I think is going to go a little bit down the drain because we cannot hold our positions and we cannot hold the P&L in the red for a while before getting panicked and selling for a loss. So this is why we see that currently the second biggest wallet for Bitcoin is Coinbase. So after Satoshi, we have Coinbase being the second biggest wallet. Then it's just countries and exchanges because people are not able to hold during bad times. They're going to be selling. I'm not telling you to diamond hand if you bought $126,000 per Bitcoin, but what I'm saying is if you are a long time holder, just hold, just DCA, just buy more. It's going to be worth it in the next cycle when we start going back up once again. Now let's take a look at our cryptos. We have Bitcoin that went way down right here. It actually touched the low $81,000 right now, and we are super stretched on the Bollinger Bands. We were outside the Bollinger Bands. Now we're closing in. So most likely today we're going to look to the 84,000. This is what I believe we're going to be looking towards, the low 84,000 on Bitcoin. If we switch to Ethereum, same thing. Ethereum is very stretched right now to the bottom. We were just a couple of hours ago above the 3,000 and now we're below the 3,000 at 2746. So most likely it's going to look towards the 2,800 right here. And Solana is just melting. Solana looks very bad. And you can see my trade right here, which is the white line. We're going to talk about it in a little bit, but you can see see Solana is also looking upwards right now. But again, I think all of these are just going to touch the yellow line, the yellow moving average. I think all of them are going to do this, and then we're going to go down. So it's just going to look for lower high and then lower lows once again. This is what I believe that's going to happen. And talking about crypto options and my personal trades, you can see right here that I've been very profitable with my trades. Let me pull the magnifier here. So you can see two profitable trades. This one is December. So just these two, this was January 20th and this is January 26th. So all of these, I got $240 right here and 347 on this one. So overall, a little over 580 bucks that I made so far, which for the month of January brings my P&L to 5.5% in the green for this month, just by me doing two trades. Unfortunately, the copy trading doesn't look as good. We are 0.8% in the 0DT and 0.01% in the red for the alt 0DT. And usually altcoins, they tend to have more volatility, meaning that when you're profitable, you make way more money than the Bitcoin strategy. But when you lose, you tend to lose a little bit more than the Bitcoin strategy. So it is hard for someone, there's a couple of people messaging me saying, hey, did you guys lose your mojo? What's going on here? Why is that happening? But the thing is, when you lose, you're going to be outperforming the Bitcoin 0DT strategy. And when you lose, you're going to be losing a little bit more than the 0DT strategy. As you can see, this is why the maximum drawdown is bigger on one than the other. So right here is almost 5% in the maximum drawdown, and this one is almost 3% in the maximum drawdown. But there is advantages for you to choosing this, because whenever you win, you're going to be outperforming it by a lot. This is why I say choose wisely which one you're going to go for, because it makes sense for you to have money in both, actually, to have maybe 30 right here and then 70 right here percent of the amount of money that you want to deposit, have 30 right here and 70, or maybe even 40, 60, whatever you think is the best. I am personally way more exposed to the alt 0DT than I am with the normal 0DT, because I think this can have huge exposure if we are able to get consistent trades back to back here, probable trades with this. This one's going to outperform the Bitcoin strategy by a lot. That being said, when we had Jerome Powell talking, we also saw the S&P 500 reacting to it. So if you go to the daily, you can see we're having a rough couple of days here. On Wednesday, we opened above 7,000 on the S&P 500, and we had a bad day, which actually closed the gap from the day previous. But then yesterday, we had a huge wick. Look at this. We had a wick that went all the way to 68.70 on the S&P 500. And today, we're most likely going to try to close that gap towards the 69.65. So maybe we're going to close the gap and then we should be going down, because now everyone is saying that the S&P 500 is hitting all-time highs, but they are not considering that it is becoming more expensive, mainly because the dollar is losing its value. So the dollar itself is losing its value, and everything else, every commodity, everything else costs more. So that cost could be not so good for the economy as we might think. So this is something to keep in mind before you think that, hey, these all-time highs because the economy is doing good. No, the dollar is also losing a lot of value, and that makes things more expensive to buy. So take that in consideration, especially if you're going from dollar to crypto or dollar to the S&P 500 stocks, whatever it is, rates, whatever. Remember that now the dollar is losing a lot of its value, meaning that's going to take more dollars to buy the same amount of things that you want to, almost like what inflation does to your money. It makes it be worth less for the same amount of things that you wanted to buy. You need more dollars. So the value of the dollar has been going down, and that you need to keep an eye on. So don't forget to check out the Bitopics vaults if you want to participate, or if you don't know about options at all, you want to learn, we have the academy here that is free. Just register, the first link in the description, and you can watch the whole crypto academy for you to learn how to use options in a bull market, in a bear market, whatever. And now we even have gold options for you to trade. So if you think gold's going to go back up after melting, 5 to 10%, we also had silver go down below the 100. Once again, silver was at 120 a couple of hours ago, and now it went all the way to 98, and now it looks like it's going to go up a little bit more, maybe towards above the 100 once again. But all of this, if you don't know how to trade, or if you don't know how to use options, it doesn't matter, because most likely the tendency is for you to lose money by trying to trade without understanding. Traders, profitable traders, they used to say, they usually are in the 1% of all traders. So if you want to learn more, the academy is free. You just have to register with the link below. Anyways, let me know, what do you think the market's going to do? I think that we're going to have some bullish candles, and then, as I said, we're going to do lower highs and then look for lower lows as well. This is my opinion, but hopefully we have a green weekend and our portfolios are happy. I see you guys on Tuesday for another video. In the meantime, hope you guys have a safe weekend with your family, with your loved ones. But that's it for me. Take care. Peace.